On this week's episode of Amari Purple Talk, The Beautiful Ones, Too Many Spoilers, Is a Purple Rain Super Deluxe in the Works, Bite the Boots, and more. Amari Purple Talk starts now. Welcome to episode 10 of Amari Purple Talk, a podcast where I share my thoughts on the Prince musical singularity. I'm Richard Cole, your imagination funk soloist, and I want to start by thanking everyone that has tuned in. I hope you're enjoying the show. Please leave your comments on the show below or on my website, www.amaricommunications.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Amari_now and on Instagram at RichardCole_Amari. And with that out of the way, we're going to dive into our first topic. And our first topic is The Beautiful Ones. Too many spoilers? Well, Tuesday the 28th marks the official release, or October 28th marks the official release of The Beautiful Ones, the Prince biography, originally intended to be a full autobiography of Prince, but only 50 pages or so of his own handwritten content was complete prior to the time of his passing. So the work to finish the book was left on the shoulders of the co-author that Prince handpicked to guide him through this book, Dan Piepenburg. There's been a lot of press regarding the release of the book, which is natural. Anytime there's a book, record, film, you do a lot of press, different TV shows, news, magazine articles. And I'm just going to pretty much I'm not going to name any publications by name, just due to the simple fact that if any of you, I know myself included, want to just kind of dive into the book once you receive it and just kind of go in, just with an open mind and, little or no expectations at that point. So, but I've read a couple of articles just over the past few days that, while praising the book, of course, per any good review, you want to say the book is great or, go get it. It's, something you definitely want to pick up. But I feel that can be done without giving away too many details. And there have been quite a few things that I've read that kind of dive into that. Even some of the photographs, and I'm not sure if that's the estate that's in charge of that or if that's the publisher that's in charge of that as well. But even with some of the photographs, I felt like there's a lot that's in circulation with, accompanying these reviews that I felt could have been left out. And, some of the major details regarding the book, I felt was a bit spoilery in that. So if you kind of don't want to know any spoilers or any information regarding it, like I said, myself, even though, like I said, I did read a few of these these reviews that kind of drifted into heavy spoiler territory. I will say that despite that, it's really amped my excitement for the book. Like I said, it's, from what I've read, the closest comparison, if there are any Beatles fans out there that also are, Prince fans, the Beatles anthology, the book portion, I know when that particular project was released, there was a big, giant book, as well as the DVD documentary. There's also an edited portion that was on television as well, and also the CDs, the anthology 1, 2, and 3. So it was a big, major multimedia package accompanying that. But as far as the book wasn't necessarily a biography of the Beatles, but it was a combination of sort of past interviews interwoven with current interviews with the surviving three Beatles at that time. So it was it was a great narrative from beginning to end, covering from their childhood to the actual breakup of the Beatles at that point. So basically, what I'm reading, like I said, we don't have a full narrative from Prince necessarily. Just however far the first 50 pages that was written by him go. One of the articles did state that there's an additional 43 pages with the author Dan Pippenberg to kind of flesh out the book, as well as various items granted by the estate as far as photographs, scrapbook materials, things of that nature, to kind of really, sort of weigh up the book and try to complete the narrative as best as possible. So my takeaway from reading all of that is the closest comparison would be that Beatles anthology book with that. So with that in mind, and hopefully that's just my personal expectation of it. So if that is true, if that holds up to my personal expectation, then yeah, it's definitely something I'm looking forward to reading and having in my collection. So, but getting back to the spoilers, like I said, there'll be a lot of press. There's been a lot of people that within sort of the podcasting circles that have advanced copies, and they'll be posting reviews soon. And hopefully by week's end, I'm looking forward to kind of listening to their reviews. Again, I will do a non-spoiler review as well as a spoiler review. Of course, I encourage anyone before tuning into that spoiler review, you already have the book and you have read it or have gotten pretty far to where you don't mind the spoilers for it. But like I said, there will be a non-spoiler review that will be part of the next episode of Amari Purple Talk, as well as a special spoiler review that will go up on YouTube. So be on the lookout for that. But let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment any way that you can. If you are on Facebook through the Libsyn podcast, you're able to comment there. And two, like I said, you can always find me on Facebook through the various Prince groups that I follow, because I always advertise there as well. And thanks for your comments on things that I post up and share with you guys there. So leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Too many spoilers, and do too many spoilers ruin your experience for anything, whether it's a book, a record, or a film? Does too many spoilers ruin it for you? Or, if you're kind of like me, I try to avoid them as much as possible until I experience the medium myself. So let me know, and we're going to end that topic, and we're going to move right on to our next topic. And our next topic is another Purple Rain Deluxe in the works. Okay, so the current issue of Long Live Vinyl, it's a magazine dedicated to, of course, the resurgence of vinyl records. This issue, the cover story is Prince and, of course, the upcoming release of the 1999 Super Deluxe Edition. Now, of course, with that, if you haven't heard it already from a previous episode of Amari Purple Talk, if you haven't seen it on YouTube already, please tune in to the segment regarding the 1999 Super Deluxe Edition. Which version should you buy? So I encourage you to check that out. If you're still on the fence at this point, because there's a lot of different versions. But getting back to the issue of Long Live Vinyl with the Prince cover story, the article itself, there's interviews with Jill Jones, Des Dickerson, Bobby Z and Lisa Coleman, just talking about the recording of the 1999 album, their participation in it, and basically, just representing the history. So it's a pretty good article, and if you haven't read it, I encourage you to go out and check that issue out. But what caught my attention, there is a segment of this article in which Michael Howe, he's the estate's representative, he's in charge of basically curating everything that's in the vault and sort of spearheading the releases that we've had so far. So I'm going to read some of what he said in this issue of Long Live Vinyl regarding other Super Deluxe editions. So it says that estate manager Michael Howe confirms 1999 will be followed by more Super Deluxe editions of other Prince albums. Further volumes of originals, the brilliant compilation of Prince's previously unreleased versions of songs he gave to other artists will also happen. There could be other variations on that theme, Howe reveals, whether it's a Prince covers album or a body of work that's not Prince proper but has his DNA and is thematically linked, we'll see. As with the welter of extra songs on 1999, further expanded releases will feature all of Prince's material from the album period. We try to include everything we can that paints the most complete picture of that period, says Howe. Could that include revisiting Purple Rain? Now, there's a typo in here saying that this was released in 2015, but it says that the 2015, which we all know was 2017, reissue released while Prince was alive. The vinyl was released while he was alive, and I'm not reading this from here, but just kind of correcting the article as it goes along. But the vinyl reissue, which was just a Bernie Grubman remaster, was 2015. The Purple Rain Deluxe Edition was released in 2017. But anyway, so it was nowhere near as extensive as the new 1999 set. It says, I can't get into specifics on Purple Rain, Howe admits, but if you're asking for my opinion, I do think there's a much more complete album, and it should be rendered in a much more complete way. Okay, so just with that particular body of statements, there's some things in this that I'm going to cover in the next segment, and that's regarding originals and other possible releases. I'll get into that in a minute. But sticking to the possibility of a sort of super deluxe or expanded version of a Purple Rain Deluxe is very interesting. Now, if you guys remember last week's episode, I covered a topic of what should a Purple Rain Super Deluxe include. So if you haven't heard that, I encourage you to go back to last week's episode, episode 9, and listen to that, because there's a couple of pretty good ideas. Hopefully the estate could be listening, so those are some of my ideas of what a Purple Rain Super Deluxe should include. So I encourage you guys to check that out. But it was interesting covering that topic last week. And then, let's see, I read this article on Wednesday. So it was like, oh, yeah, I just covered that. But, it's pretty interesting. So, again, I guess the question would be, it sounds like, just kind of reading in between the lines. Like I said, there's no official statement within this article of a soon-to-be released Purple Rain Deluxe. But given the fact that I've read articles with, interviews with Michael Howe before, and it's kind of sort of a key thing to where if he can't discuss it, then there's something pretty much going on. Whether you'll, I think with the 1999, I remember, months, maybe a year or so, it's like, well, I can't talk about 1999. But, here we are in 2019 and we're just weeks away. In fact, a little less than a month, about maybe 28 days away from actually having a 1999 Super Deluxe edition in our hands. So the fact that a Purple Rain Super Deluxe is being considered is an exciting proposition for me. So I'm looking forward to whenever they release that. I know in my last week's topic, I theorized that that would be something that we would either get at minimum, at the very minimum, a 40th anniversary release. So we're looking at, 2024? But probably, since with the popularity of the 50th anniversary editions of things, starting with the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper back in 2017. There's been a wealth of 50th anniversary editions of a lot of legendary artists' material. So probably the worst case scenario would be around 2034. So again, folks, we're going to have to eat our vegetables, stay in shape, stay healthy, stay positive. Don't let all this other crazy stuff stress you out. Because, we got to be able to get that 50th anniversary in our hands and get to listening. So that's exciting. Hopefully that is something that over the next few years we'll get to, hear more about. But what do you guys think? Do you think that after reading that article, do you think that we'll get a Purple Rain Super Deluxe sooner? Do you think that it'll be like a 40th or 50th anniversary edition? Just let me know in the comments. And we're going to end that topic and move on to our third and final topic of this week. And that is Vault Economics, the Extended Remix Edition. All right, so way back in episode 2 of Amari Purple Talk, I did a segment that compared Prince's Vault with sort of the, I don't know, maybe the big three of legendary vaults, or four. That's not Prince's Vault. But the main ones I compared it to was Frank Zappa's Vault, Bob Dylan's Vault, and Jimi Hendrix's Vault. And the reason I'm doing an expanded version was a friend of mine sent me an article. And I don't know, some of you may have, I've seen it circulating throughout social media this week as well. But yeah, I got it first and then started noticing it circulating a lot later. The title of the article is Reckoning with the Ethics of the Ever Unfurling Prince Vault. And this is from Paste Magazine. So you can go online and read that article if you haven't read it already. Basically, my takeaway from that article, it's basically a debate that, most of us as fans have had over the years, within Prince's lifetime, and even more so since 2016. We're, like I said, at heart, we're all fans. And of course, the nature of a fan, is, to collect. If you like a specific artist, or if an artist is your absolute favorite, you want to get your hands on as many things as you possibly can. For me, definitely Prince is one of those, and probably the main one, really. But I mean, as far as like, I also want every note of Jimi Hendrix. I also want every note, that Marvin Gaye ever sang in his life. Uh, almost every James Brown recording I can get my hands on. The Beatles, same thing. So, that's just the nature. Their body of work, their, the specialness in which, they either create a composition of a song or the recording of a song or both. You definitely want to have that. But, in the case of Prince, there are certain ethics, because we know in his lifetime, that he was very protective of his vault and what was in it. He was very selective about what to release from that vault. And as far as the thousands of unreleased compositions, there's been many interviews, to where he's either prided himself on what was in it, or it was always a statement of, well, if anything gets released from the vault, it won't be, I won't be around to release it. That's for other people to decide to do. So, unfortunately, this is where we are, with that. And, since there's no definitive statement like David Bowie, whom I didn't really give a lot of coverage to in the Vault economics comparison of episode 2. But I would say in this particular case, in regards to, this article, there's a vast difference. There wasn't a detailed plan for the vault in Prince's case. There was more of a plan for what to do with Paisley Park as a museum, as, more plans for that than there ever were for, what should be released from the vault. There's no details of what to do with the classic catalog, what to do of, any posthumous, unreleased, collections or anything like that. Where I think with David Bowie, there was, again, sadly, ample time for him to have given that a great deal of thought and to plan accordingly. So, I would say at this stage, and like I said, the debates and the comparisons vary. But at the end of the day, none of us are part of the estate. And I don't want to get into making this a topic about, estate planning or anything like that. But there's a wealth of information out there that you can research, as it relates to your own life. But, nothing can ever replace the human being. But in the case of this human being being the artist that he was, that's the life that he lived. And this is the body of work that's left. There's, economics as far as music and entertainment in the, 1700s is different than the 21st century. That being said, we enjoy to this day listening to the works of Mozart, the works of Beethoven. That stuff is still around hundreds of years later for us to experience. There's another article I ran across today in regards to the Beatles. As a band, they have not recorded a new record technically since 1996. But in the case of John, Paul, George, and Ringo all being alive and walking the planet, have not recorded together as the Beatles since 1970. But yet and still to this day, the Abbey Road 50th anniversary edition, that was after its release a few weeks ago. Number one on the UK charts. Number three. Let's see, wait a minute. That's wrong. Yeah, number one on the UK charts and number three on the US charts. So, that's a testament to the power of music and the power of creativity. So, in regards to Prince, like I said, there's a lot that's left behind. There's a lot that's left with no plan on how to provide for the future. There were no definitive heirs to take the ball and, carry on with it. So what we have is what we have. And we're grateful, that though, we read about differences with the estate, at least they're able to come together and agree on something because they have to keep that ball rolling. They have tax debt. They have you have to keep it running in. And then there's, again, part of the debate, it's in the hands of the lawyers and things of that nature. But again, I'm not trying to get into, a lecture on estate planning and things like that. But unfortunately, those things come with the territory. So with that being said, from a fan's perspective, we got to support it. We have to keep it going. Like I said, the next segment I'm going to get into is kind of related to this, but my philosophy is this: the more that they do release, and I may have my opinions and ideas, you have your opinions and ideas, but at least as far as what we're getting, the quality of material, like in originals, like a 1999 Super Deluxe, so long as that quality continues, then that's something that we should support. I'm tired of inferior bootlegs. Sad record. And then there's people that claim they have the best ultimate sound or whatever, or there's some talented fans out there that have some good computer equipment or good recording equipment and can take the bootlegs and make them sound better than any official release. But that's good on them. But you're not in a position to really share that with us, or legally you don't have the right to share that with us. So, good on you if you have it, and if you share it for free, cool. But, for me, I just want it to come directly from the source. And that's going to get to something else I'm going to bring up in a future episode about the varying degrees of releases, the source material for that stuff. So I'll get into a different type of comparison later. But with this one, in regards to vault economics, like I said, my favorite so far is Jimi Hendrix. Just the way that Janie Hendrix, who's Jimmy's sister, has been running that ship. First it was her and their father that was sort of running it, but she was sort of the main one, just making sure, all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted in regards to the business side of it, and really taking the care, along with John McDermott and Eddie Kramer, on, searching high and low for material. There's still stuff that's being discovered to this day in regards to Hendrix that, in fact, there's a release of the complete Hendrix Band of Gypsies performance at Fillmore East. I saw news of that and was like, can't get it because I've already pre-ordered that 1999 Deluxe, and it's like, ain't got the bucks for it. So, but something way down the line I'm looking forward to getting. But, like I said, to this day, and they've been in full control of that since for the last over 20 years now, almost 30 years. About 25 years or so that they've been fully in control of that. They had lost control of it at one point, but 20 years ago got that control back, and everything has been great from that. And that's something I would like to see the Prince estate, if not, maybe not emulate to the letter. But as far as quality and quantity of releases, over the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years and beyond, is something that I would like to see them emulate. And I don't know, this will be something that I'll cover, probably like a special edition for YouTube as well. So just remember Vault Economics. Go back, listen to episode 2. I kind of go more in depth with that. But what do you think, from your perspective as a fan? Do you think that, are you getting enough as far as the quality and quantity of releases? Do you think that this is against his best wishes? Do you think it even matters? Or do you think that so long as you're getting official quality material from the source and no longer getting it from, the bootleggers, then, what do you think? Let me know. And with that, we're going to end that topic and we're going to move on to a new segment. I'm not going to do the album flashback this week, but we're going to do something new, and it is called Bite the Boots. And it's inspired by, again, back to Vault Economics, inspired by Frank Zappa's Beat the Boots. If you go on his website, I believe you can order, there's a series of recordings that imitate, I think even down to the artwork, famous Frank Zappa recordings that were, widely in bootleg circulation. So again, getting back to that notion of getting official quality recorded material directly from the source. Frank Zappa was the one that was a spearhead. In fact, he was probably the first to do that, to which now Bob Dylan, over the last, maybe, again, 30 years or so, has adopted that model as well. And again, something I like to see the Prince estate emulate as well. But Bite the Boots is what we're calling this segment. And just kind of randomly researching probably a famous circulating bootleg recording, and maybe as a recommendation, get an official release of it, which is kind of like a combination of album flashback and project wish list. So this one is going to be the classic Stockholm 1986 recording. There's what is it? What are they called? City Lights. They've been sort of, I guess, the curators of this particular piece. But I would like to see a good quality recording. I guess this is one of the most legendary performances of the 1986 parade tour. Probably next to the birthday show in Detroit, and then there's one other one. And I think all of these have been filmed professionally for various European television broadcastings. But this is one, the Stockholm one. I don't even know if I have this one or not, but it is one that, like I said, I hear it, or not hear it, but you go on social media and read different things. This is one everybody takes notice of. So this is one I would like to see maybe as an official CD release, like a single CD release. Of course, with the proper packaging, good liner notes, great photographs, great mastered directly from the soundboard and remastered for official release. So this is one I'd like to see come out soon, at some point. Again, like I said, I always go back to the Hendrix comparisons because there's, legendary recordings that, their estate has, I guess they know what the fans want. and they make sure, it may not be when you want it, like right away, but it does get released. So this is one I would like to see come out. And I guess it's in a 2 CD version. And again, I'm not sure if this one was also a broadcast for television, or I'm sure there was no home video release or anything. But definitely, I would like to see a completely officially mastered recording of this, as well as a great set of liner notes, great set of photographs. If there is a DVD that you can accompany this with, definitely. You can sell that separately. I like how the Hendrix estate does that, where you get the CD and there's a DVD as well, a companion DVD that you can buy along with it, or buy it separately. Or, when I look at a lot of Bob Dylan's releases, there are, I guess, recordings. I guess the best professional recordings of as much of the entire tour. Like the most recent one is the Rolling Thunder review, and I think that is like about 10 CDs long of different performances of that particular tour of Bob Dylan's. So I'm not well versed on, to me, what are the best Prince concerts you can make a compilation of that with. Maybe you can do that with a Prince Parade tour, because there weren't a lot of dates in the United States for that tour. That was the first time that we've heard that phrase within the Prince musical singularity of hit and run, because those were concerts without warning. Uh, I know here there was a campaign to try to get him here, and of course there was a petition and everything, and it didn't come off. He never made it here, so that year anyway. So I guess you can sort of, if you want to do like a complete box set of the Parade tour, you can include the Detroit, the birthday show, as one of the CDs. Whatever U.S. dates, include this Stockholm 2 CD set as part of that as well. But for the most part, I would like to see this as a single CD first. And if you can bundle it with something else, then come out with it. Yeah, just kind of, like I said, just going on social media, there's, like I said, just a lot of high praise for this particular performance. So I don't know. Get in touch with the estate. See, share your ideas with them. See if they'll, put that out one day. Maybe that'll be a surprise for next year, because you can't, because the Parade is another one that's a soundtrack, and that's always going to stay with Warner Brothers unless there's a sort of joint agreement between Warner Brothers, Sony, and the estate, as far as like a Parade Super Deluxe edition. So I think this is something that Sony can release on its own and just have it represent, that Parade era, until they work out whatever agreements they can work out with that. Because, like I said, if you don't already know, after 2021, the Sony will have the licensing to release Prince's classic album period with Warner Brothers, with the exception of Purple Rain, Parade, Batman, and Graffiti Bridge. So I'm sure, like I said, there's a lot of work to negotiate that and sort of make that happen, to do super deluxe editions past 2021 at this point. And for now, there's no idea what we're going to get in 2020. You know, what Warner Brothers going to do. Is there going to be a parade super deluxe for next year? You know, that's a thought. But what do you think? Do you think that this would be a good idea for a future release? Do you think it should be bundled with a Parade Super Deluxe edition? What do you think would be a different type of, I guess, bite the boots release that the estate can consider at some point? Let me know in the comments. And we're going to end this episode of Amari Purple Talk. Again, thanks for all the different comments regarding the time deserving of being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like I said, I haven't given that up. That's my personal campaign. I'm still in the planning stages of doing a sort of YouTube Amari Purple Talk special, going deeper into the history of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the rules, the categories. Again, you know, this has nothing to do with who you like or who you don't like. But, however, the rules and the categories apply to anybody that you like. You know, so The Time is my favorite band, and this is why I'm doing this. Again, you are welcome to do the same for your favorite band as well. Other than that, like I said, look forward to also more on vault economics. I'm going to do a special on that as well. And don't forget to send in your topic ideas and also your comments. You can also use the hashtag Amari Purple Talk on whatever social media platform you're on, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Just use that and I'll find it. And like I said, maybe use it in a future episode. And all comments are welcome. Your question or idea will not be turned away at the door. I mean, sometimes I notice people just have the simplest of Prince questions or Prince related questions, and I see certain sites where it's like, you know, they just get shot down, and you know, that's not cool. So, you know, if it's a question I can answer, you know, like I said, I like to pursue it as a topic. You know, so like I said, use the hashtag Amari Purple Talk. Hit me up, Amari_now, or you can actually formally submit a topic. There's a form on my website, www.amaricommunications.com, and let me know what's going on. So that's going to end it for today. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next week. And keep it purple and on the one.